Saturday, and I had to come out today to get those metal corners for the plasterboard, a cargo net for the truck, and a tarp to keep in here for the truck. And I also got a cargo net for the trailer. Yeah, those times when you've got loose stuff to take, like I've got some stuff I might need to take to the tip, and it's small and loose, so it's awkward to try and tie down, so a tarp and a net would be the best way to go. And my wife's told me to get a net for ages. So I finally got them. I went into the Bunnings in Valley Heights. Bunnings have now got a policy that they request that everybody that comes in wears a mask. All their staff do. And they sell them at the door, and they have the hand sanitizer at the door and all that sort of stuff. But it was really quite comforting, in a strange sort of way, I guess, that the majority of people in there were wearing a mask, and a lot of people had their own. It wasn't like I've just bought a pack of medical masks from the door. They had their own masks to go into the store. There were a few, I dare say younger people, 20s to 30s, that weren't wearing them, and I saw just a couple of people my age or older that weren't. They probably go, bar humbug, it's going to need nothing to me. It was kind of comforting, because the last few times that I've sort of gone into town, which has been rare, it's really only been when I stopped at the gas station. I'm probably the exception rather than the norm when it comes to wearing masks when you're out. Been a few students at school starting to wear masks. I think some staff are starting to think about it as well. Yet to see it. Didn't get to talk to you yesterday. Today's Tuesday. Yesterday was a couple of classes of Year 9. They're working on one of these, little bridle joint stool. They've been cutting all their parts out and learning how to mark out. Year 11, I had twice today. If you watched the scrap wood challenge that Sumo put on, and you saw me make that stool, which is basically another one of those, so they're both my ones. Some people have said, hopefully your kids make some. There's one there, got all the domino joints finished and got it all glued up this afternoon. We had an after school class. So I've got them tomorrow. He'll be able to attach his top, give it some sanding and that sort of stuff. Got one of the girls, got this frame glued up together today, and then in the afternoon class got a top made up, so it'll have a slide overhang, like 20mm overhang all the way around. This one here, another coat of black paint earlier today. Just try to put a clear finish onto the legs this afternoon, because the paint hadn't quite dried on the top. The student who had done this table, he'd taken it over to the senior physics lab, and they were using it as a little coffee table in there, but he hadn't actually put any finish on this section, and I told him, bring it back, give it a bit more of a sand, and we'll get that finish put on it. So he did that today. They've done pretty well. One of the other guys who's making like a giant box type thing, side table, he's got his pieces here. He made up some solid panels. One's in the clamps, just remembered, one's in the clamps over this way. That one there, that'll be dried for tomorrow's class. This one up the back, you can see these are some of our Year 12s for this year. So we've got one there, another table just here, got this one here. Actually, there's two jobs here. There's this one, and then this is parts for another one. Another one here. Another one sort of in there. They're coming together. They've got about another week and a half to go before they're due. Date did get extended slightly due to COVID, but only by 2 weeks. I hope this doesn't get pulled up for the music, because I've got a staff member next door which you might be able to hear some of the music. He's a stonemason by trade as well, and so he's in there doing a stone carving in the other workshop. You could hear that in my stool making video. There's all this tapping and music in the background. I'm glad I had that sped up, but that's what it was. It was him doing his stonemasonry stuff. Just had year 9. Their stuff's all out because it's now recess, but I've got them again straight after recess. This sounder's looking a bit rubbish, so I'm going to change that over. Metric or imperial? It's imperial. Couple of little grub screws. Get that one off. Nice clean one. Not perfectly sized. Never really trust the zero on that table all the time. Think of that so much. Can't turn it on because I turned the power off. Yeah. Turn the power back on in the next class. Going for the hook and loop system. Best thing I ever did. I used to glue these on. Have to peel the old one off, scrape off all the old glue, the contact adhesive. Put the contact adhesive on the back of these. Wait for it to go tacky. The process took an hour. That's quick enough for me to still go and get some recess. So it's Wednesday arvo. Been on for most of the day. I had double year 9, which I talked a little bit about before. They were good the second period after recess, and then I had they packed up really well. It was really good. And then year 11 after that, they got on with their projects. There was a few away, but that meant that the ones were there that were able to work really well. My year 12s did their trial HSC exam on Monday. I spent today marking them, got them all marked. My year 11 construction class, they've sort of been doing their clusters. This is cluster A, first cluster, and I've been marking those over the last couple of days. Finished marking those today, scan them, upload them. It's part of the whole evidence thing. That just finished uploading those then. We've got to upload them to Region as the evidence of the kids passing, and also as evidence of them not passing. And at this stage, all of these ones that I've marked are not yet competent, but they get the chance to fix that. So, but it's been a long day, coming up to 5 to 5. Longest thing is trying to scan them. More marking to do tomorrow for year 12. They basically got 5 weeks left of school, and they've been disadvantaged a fair bit by COVID. Got to try and catch them up in some way, somehow, hopefully. Don't head off. Another late one. Almost 6. 5:02. My morning was spent on timetable stuff, trying to get electives and things sort of sorted with the principal and our careers advisor, the guidance counsellor type thing. She usually takes a list of the kids who didn't get their electives in on time, and she chases as many as she can to try and give them the best chance to hopefully get what they want. Yeah, I remember that after the fact of talking with the principal. So I went and saw her and gave her a list of the students. And she got back to me pretty quick with the selections of 4 of the kids. And she said there's another 5 that she knows she'll be able to chase up pretty quickly. I'm going to hold off on making firm decisions about what subjects won't make it. One of the things that I really like about our school, even though it makes my job harder as the timetabler, is we really try to run the courses the kids want to do based on their selections. Because I know some other schools go, these are the courses we're going to run, we'll set up the timetable and the kids pick from what's available. What we do is we offer everything that we think we can try and run in the school. And sometimes you've got to be a bit selective about that. You don't want to offer too much stuff and then not get things running. Not including English and maths, because English is compulsory and maths is getting that way, and we're trying to push kids to make sure they do it. And on the other 4 lines, we'd usually have anywhere between 20 and 26 subjects running, average of 24.
We offer in the low 30s. Not a lot that don't make it, but some don't because of lack of interest from that cohort. So that's how I spent the morning. Then we had classes, and my timber kids, the kids made that stool, and he got that finished and was pretty happy with it. And because of COVID, like, their projects were meant to be done in term 2. But because of the COVID close down, we had to adjust all our dates. And I honestly couldn't remember when the dates were, and I've been trying to get the kids through their projects. Turns out they've still got 2 weeks. So, and I was concerned because there was a couple of kids that's still going. I'm going, oh, I really need to know what that date is. Turns out they've still got a bit of time, which is good for them. Construction. I've got a year 11 class and a year 12 class. The year 12 class is almost done in terms of no more time left. And because of COVID, we had to adjust all of our dates with assessment in the hope that they'd still be able to get through. Like, hopefully just do the theory when we were shut down, and possibly being able to do that remotely, and the kids on their own, and then focusing on the prac once we got back. And then because I was sick and not there, they kind of got slowed up on that. Did have a teacher on it, but I think the kids got into holiday mode. So really far behind, weren't submitting work, and so I've been trying to mark all of that. And so just before, I had some kids who resubmitted stuff, so I remarked that first, and a couple of kids got through on that cluster. But some of the others, I had to go and find their folders, and I sat the folder on the desk before I left, and that's one of my plans for tomorrow. Saturday, I spent the morning doing some of my readings for uni and stuff like that, catching up on a bit of rest. But I came down here and like I picked up this corner stuff. So I've got this one here, and if you've never seen it, you can see that it's got this tiny little lip, and so it allows you to put your plaster along here, and it just gives it a nice firm corner. Now I think the tiling is coming up to here, but I still want to have a nice firm surface. But then this spot here, this is an external corner that's won't have tiles, so it needs to have a firm edge on it. It's not likely to be something that you're going to knock very often, although we're thinking of putting a cabinet here, so there's a chance of it. And I'm going to do this bit just so I've got a nice crisp corner up the top. But one tip, if you need glasses, wear them when you're reading a tape measure, because I put my tape measure up here and I read 810, and it was meant to be 910. 910 mil, and I almost went 3 foot 1 inches on the tape measure, and that's probably the one I should have taken because I wouldn't have gotten that one mixed up. But I read the 9 as an 8. Should have had my glasses on. But I've just taken the cabinet down so I can measure this one correctly, and you can see here how this one I've got an extra little bit clipped here just so that this corner is going to be nice and supported. So when I get up here, this piece coming along here, I'll make it go along here as well, so it just gives this corner a bit of support. And on this end it'll just go straight into the corner. 1320, 4'4". Don't let me forget that one. It's pretty easy to cut with these two. So all I did was mark it. You can see my little red mark just here. Cut straight in. And this little corner bit just comes apart. Did I just say about glasses? I'm using these are a plasterboard nail. They're a little bit cupped in the top, and they allow them to basically get hammered into that. They just go into the mesh. Look like they're sitting a little bit proud. Once you hit them in, they're kind of below this bit. But they're a better option than like the screws might grab this and pull it, and you can't get the heads low enough with the screws. So even though this is pre-mixed, I always think it's a good idea to sort of batter it about a bit first, get any lumps out of it. I did mix it in the bucket as well. So that's just a quick first coat. Now you don't want to try and, the temptation is to try and do your first coat as perfect as possible. Like this bit, there's some small hollow bits, but if I try and pack some more in there, then that'll make this too thick and it will take forever to dry. And I mean, all of this still needs to be filled in more anyway, because eventually it's going to be all the way out to here. and this corner. It'll probably end up just being smoothing plaster that whole panel, and same with this top one, to just get an even bit right from the corner to the edge. Had a good got onto a Zoom chat this morning. Makers on Zoom having cocktails. I think it's normally makers on Zoom having coffee. It was cocktails in their time. There's more coffee here, kind of. Basically hosted by Morley Kurt and the Grant Alexander and Adam Mackey, who's local, kind of. That was good. I set it up in here. Had it on my iPad to start with. They could see and hear me. I could only hear them. And unfortunately, sorry guys, I was trying to do stuff in here and didn't realise how sensitive the microphones were in the isotunes, because they said they could hear me fine, and because they were actually acting as hearing protection in my ears, I couldn't hear how much noise I was making. But one of the things I did while I was on that, because I couldn't see anybody, so I was trying to just do stuff and listen, and I couldn't get to the controls because I had no control of it, and like I couldn't mute my microphone or anything like that. But anyway, I replaced the wheels on this cabinet. Much smoother, and because it rolls a little smoother, I'm able to get it right up against that cabinet there. So now, standing room in the workshop is about 1150 mil, 45 inches by 1550, 5 feet. So I've now kind of got a little bit more space just in here to move around for if I want to actually get at stuff. Still going to require a fair bit of clean up in here and more tidy up and stuff. So I've done that in here. One of the other things I've done, I've just screwed this thing onto here. This is a piece of aluminium extrusion from underneath some of the old computer tables at work. They just use it for managing the cables underneath the tables. And I just screw it on here and it becomes a perfect spot for tape measures, textures, pens, chalk, that sort of stuff. I do the same thing in the workshops at school. So, and I put it here. It's not going to interfere with the vise. It's under the grinder, so I might get a bit of crap in here from the grinder, but it's basically out of the way. It's not going to interfere with any of the vise stuff here. I haven't walked into it yet. It just doesn't sort of protrude into the walkway, so kind of pleased with that. The chat was good. Went for a while. I'm not exactly sure how long I went. And at one point, I decided to get my phone out and try the Zoom call on here. And it took me a few times getting in and out, trying to get my isotunes to connect to it again, but it finally did. And when it did then, it must be the processor in this phone is a lot better than the iPad. And so I could actually see the other people, which was good. So I'd missed seeing a couple of people because they'd already left. But it was good that I could finally start putting faces to the voice that I was hearing. And it was a good midday for me. So I was doing that and still getting some sort of stuff because I was walking around and just could keep an ear on it. So after that finished, washed the ute. Of course it had possum poop and piss all over it from the trees. So I got that washed off because the last thing I want is the paintwork to be destroyed like it did on the van. Over in the house, or in the laundry, bit more framing work done. Got the door jamb. Oh, for the pocket door installed. Did this framing across the top here. Didn't need much of a frame in the back corner. This here, that's basically flush with the back of the frame for the plasterboard there. I might put like a little, might put a hatch here, like a little door or something. I mean, it'll be behind this door when the door's open. You'd only see it if that door's closed and you're inside. But if you ever needed to get to stuff, to the plumbing, I don't think you would, but slide the door out, open this, and you've got access to the shut-off valve, which that's the original shut-off valve, braided hose going up there. The way these are designed, these in-wall cisterns are designed, you can see the hose going into the top there, and just see a little bit there. You basically get a piece into here, it pops the front off it, and there's a little stop valve inside to get at that. Didn't do any more with the mudding today because when I came down earlier it still looked a little dark in the corners and stuff, so it wasn't dry properly. It's really cold at the moment, so it's not gonna dry in a hurry. So I didn't do anything more with that. It needs to be sanded before doing anything further, and yeah, I can see down in this bottom corner it still looks a little dark right in the corner, so it's taking its time to dry in this cold weather. So for the moment I just pop that back up on the top so I don't kick it over by having it sitting on the floor. That's part of what I got done today. Some washing as well in between things. Unboxing and sanitizing stuff that you get in the mail thanks to COVID. Especially since the stuff that we got came from Melbourne. So it was like, I was masked up to open the box and wipe everything down and sanitize everything, and really don't know how long this is going to go for, this COVID stuff. Thousands of cases down in Melbourne. They're in the lowest day they had of new cases was 390 the other day, yesterday. They're fluctuating between that and 700, so there's thousands of new cases down there. And unfortunately some deaths, and one of the most recent ones was a guy in his 20s. And there's a number of new cases, quite a few popping up around Sydney, and they're all linked to schools. Students getting sick, and the thing is, they may get through it, but their families may not. The teachers may not, if a teacher catches it off one of the kids. I'm still the only staff member wearing a mask. There's been a few kids, but not enough. I'm going to have to check the department's website, because the fact that they're popping up in schools and it's students and teachers that are catching it, that are testing positive, I'm wondering if they've changed the recommendations of students don't need to social distance, because that's the way it is. They've said for teachers must social distance, and wearing a mask is a personal choice. But students are still not being told to social distance, and it's frightening to think of it suddenly rushing through a school like it has in the States. Finish packing up, close up, go and do some of my uni work that I started yesterday. Another late finish. I'm hoping
So that's going to be the last of the late night scanning and uploading evidence and all that sort of stuff. One of those things. Get myself home and eat because I've got online uni tonight. Into a new week. Today's Tuesday and this is one of my busy days. Just had year 11. I got year 12 for the first time after recess, after their 2 weeks of exams. And I got year 11 again, so they had to pack up this time. The last couple of weeks they've been able to just leave stuff out. But I marked all their stuff, gave them the talk about stuff to be able to get through prelim year 11, what they've got to do that, and then how they can still achieve the outcome or the competencies later. The department is moving into a slightly more lockdown thing with the rising cases in New South Wales. A bit more restrictions on what can and can't be done inside schools, inter-school sports. They've banned inter-school sports that are outside the region. So like if there was a region by first region, they're banning that. But I think they're still allowing sports within the region, which is... But because of that rising thing, we've got to look after the safety and hygiene of everybody. One of my kids actually came in and put on a mask the other day, just a regular medical mask. I think he was a bit worried about how he looked to the others because it only stayed on for about 10 minutes. And the department keeps telling the kids they don't need to social distance here. They still say that, even though the majority of cases in New South Wales are in schools between students and then them passing it to staff. But I've just gone through and used like disinfectant wipes that were bought by the school specifically for this sort of purpose. Alcohol wipes. Wiped every handle of all the chisels, wiped down all the goggles, front, back, inside, outside, the rulers, all the hammers, the saw handles, all the vice handles, power saw handle, adjustments, all that sort of stuff. Because that's, like in the computer room, they say we're supposed to wipe down the keyboards at the end of every lesson. We still do have cleaners doing deep clean. They go around at the end of recess and just wipe down every bench and table in the playground, all the handrails. So they are making an effort to keep everybody safe. And there's a big recommendation document that they released yesterday, which is effective from now. I've got year 12 in here, period 3. Going to hand back their exams and all their assessments that I've just finished marking because I really do want them to get through. I really do want them to get through as much as possible. And some kids, I think, would really like to get their full certificate, but they're going to have to do a bit more work. A bit windy outside. They're going to have to do a bit more work for that. Wednesday arvo, just doing a final pre-operational check of the new laser, making sure everything's set up. The only thing I don't have at the moment is a Cat5 cable to go from the computer up into the cabinet. So we've got our person from the LST coming to do training for me and my staff tomorrow. So we'll be on site all day, but we'll be up here learning about the laser because it is a decent size one. It's known as a VS3.50. It's a 50 watt A3 size bed. For as big as the machine is, the bed area only goes to here. Because obviously all the laser is back that way. So 30 by 60 centimeters, 1 foot by 2 foot, 12 inch by 24 inch. But one of the things with it coming in to the department the power to be locked off on it. When this got delivered and I was away from the school, the electrician came in, he hardwired it directly into the wall. And as soon as the company came out, they said, you can't do that. And it's only a 10 amp thing, it shouldn't have been hardwired in to begin with. And they say because if there's ever an issue and there's a fire, if you can't get it turned off in a hurry, the quickest way is to just pull the plug out. And this guy had hardwired it in, but he'd left the plug attached to the back of the unit. So this bit was live whenever it was turned on. I managed to get that organised to have them come and remove the hardwiring in, because it basically went from like where this box is directly into the wall. So they've still got this on here as the power switch so that it can be, you need a key to switch it on, but even if the key's not in there, it can be switched off, but then it can't be switched back on. And that's the way that all machines have to be in workshops in department schools. And it's one of the reasons, like, having this bit attached to the machine adds about $380 to the cost of the machine. This is the circuit for the laser. This is the circuit for the computer. This is the circuit for the extraction unit, which is down in here. It's got its own start and stop. So it's... Now, I don't know about you, but that's pretty loud. This is meant to be a sound dampening cabinet. And most of the noise is coming from where the laser is being extracted at the back, where the hose is there. If I that's not much louder. So I think we got a little bit swindled with the cabinetry. I mean, it's a nice unit, look. Space there for the extraction means it's not looking ugly. The unit sits nicely here. Shelving through here and designed specifically for the size materials that you can use in it, with lots of different shelves and stuff. So originally I was just going to sit this thing on a big bench that I had in here and sit the computer next to it, so that is, and I was just going to put the extraction unit under it. But the extraction unit goes up here, across there and out through the side wall and then up above the building, and this is on the second floor of the building. So that's got to be going for as long as whenever the laser's being used. I don't know what it sounds like outside. Apparently, according to my other staff, it sounds more like a jet engine out there too. But this is happening tomorrow. The only things that I haven't really done, because when they delivered this and installed it, they just attached the extractor fan to it. None of the cabling was attached, and they had the power in the wrong sort of things. And the only reason I knew it was because I looked up at the little fuse box for it, and it has separate circuits for them, labelled. We're kind of excited. We've been told to make sure we have a good sample of the different materials we want to try out. One of them is ceramic tile, so I'm going to bring a couple of pieces of tile from home that I've got, from the ones I've got that are broken. Try them out. I think I've got some smooth gloss ones as well as some matte surface ones, which will be nice. The only other things we've got to do is adjust the power settings in the computer, but I can't do that at the moment because there's no Cat5 cable in, so it doesn't connect to the network. And because there's a department school, you can't actually log into it unless it can get onto the internet. Or you have the administrator password, which I don't want to know the administrator password, otherwise if that happens, you end up being asked to do stuff all over the school. And I know that from experience. tomorrow should be fun.
Well, just finished our day of training with the laser. I've just seen the trainer out the front because I wasn't sure if I'd have to let him out. It's like 5:30. Good long day, lots to learn, lots of exciting opportunities with the laser. Tried out a few of the different processes. We got the rotary unit for engraving glasses, and we tried one of those as well. So, fun times ahead. Friday Arvo. Kids have all left. I just had year 12 construction, and they were doing the 2-peg test. So you can see the dumpy tripod just there. They had to practice leveling that out, getting the bubble right, and then taking a reading of the aluminium peg that's there and the aluminium peg that's there on the fence. Take their 2 readings, subtract the difference. Had to do it twice in 2 different positions, like moving the tripod. The difference between their readings was plus or minus 3 millimeters. They were competent, because it meant that they were able to set the dumpy level or the optical level. This thing, they were able to set this correctly. They set this bubble in the center of the circle so that when they turn this around, the bubble stays in the center. And that's what the whole test is about, whether they could set it and then read it. And they were successful in doing that. So I think 4 or 5 of them through the task because they've got to do it individually. I've got them again on Monday, so they can do that again. Once who missed out of a class of 12, we should be able to get them all through.